Welcome to Rick and That Michelle Chick. I'm That Michelle Chick.
And I'm Rick.
So I thought before we get into our fake radio names, I have some
Sure.
business to take care of the last podcast. So
Okay.
episode 5, because I said the Palm Springs of Washington sign. We talked about it, about you wanting to steal it for the stunt. I said the Palm Springs of Yakima, which, correction, this sign says, "Welcome to the Palm Springs of Washington."
Oh my gosh.
To Yakima, which everybody jokes about that. I just, for those people who don't live here and see the sign and understand, I wanted to make that correction. So,
and I think the sign is still there, right?
Yes, it is. I just passed by it the other day.
He passed away, sadly, and I think I bet there's some clause in his will that said basically what to do with that sign, and I don't think it's his property. He owns that spot
because it sits right next to the freeway.
But I pretty much believe he owns it. He owns the sign. He owns the land that's on the sign. Yeah.
I mean, it's technically a billboard.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So he probably has some kind of billboard license, because you can't just put up billboards everywhere. So
yeah, I think that I believe he actually owns that land. That's where the sign's located. So you just can't come and take it, or the city can't just do away with it because it's technically private property.
Right. The city can't come and tear it down because they're tired of people making fun of us for it.
I think it's cool because to me, it's a landmark sign. I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but I think it's a landmark sign. I think it makes Yakima unique. And God knows Yakima needs things to make it unique besides meth and drive-by shootings. That's all I'm saying.
We're better now.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I learned a very valuable lesson, Michelle, about Yakima because when I first moved there, it was the mid 2000s, and Mike Bastinelli. I was saying, gosh, I go, God, Yakima is such a horrible place to live, and he educated me. He says, you don't realize it was way worse, and they called downtown the hole back in the day, and that and crime was triple or quadruple the rate it is today. So, I mean, the good news, you get a shooting or a murder every couple days.
Yeah, no, we don't have that, so we're good.
Right. I mean, so I was educated on that, so I couldn't just, but it was so funny. My tenure in Yakima, it was funny when we moved away. My ex-wife Pokey said, "Man, I'm so glad to be out of there." And I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "There was a killing every single day." And I went, "There was?" So I was oblivious because we were doing all the radio stuff all the time. So I was so my first time around, I was totally unaware of its crime rate. I didn't know, but she knew.
But back then, we had to play the news,
the
recorded news, even on KFFM.
I was
so it would have been on that.
I was a kid. I was 28. I didn't, now I'm way much more into the news today now that I'm old. But back then, I didn't, unless it affected me, I didn't really care, I guess. Call it youth, call it age.
Right. I think that just goes to show that you shouldn't just assume things or think things about certain places or people or everything in general.
It still does have triple the crime rate of the national average. I'm not picking on it. That is the truth.
I mean, we do, but there are other places. I'm sure Tacoma is worse. So
of course, I think, I mean, there's always going to be actually Fife, Washington, which is Fife right outside of Tacoma has actually got the highest crime rate in the state. Because we've done
population is 5 times greater than Yakima. So
absolutely.
The comparison is not.
And every place you live has good or bad. Beverly Hills, you had OJ. Come on, and the Brent. What is it? The Brentwood.
Brentwood.
Part, Brentwood part of town. Exactly. No one expected that. So there's bad people everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're rich, poor. Just happens to be. It seems like more poor people die than rich, but it still happens.
Yeah. Okay, following that great
mayhem,
great little segment. A great way to start off our podcast. So let's talk about our fake radio names. You can go first if you want.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't
it's
matter.
Interesting. I always tell people, RIKMIKALS. Come on, does that not look fake to you?
Like I said, when I searched for our podcast, there were a lot of Rick that came up that were RIK. And I was a little bit shocked thinking, wait, like I have never seen this other than your name. Somebody spelled it that way. So
it's really interesting. When I first got started in radio, 1988, Clarkston, Washington. My first radio name wasn't Rick Mikals. I think you know that. It wasn't Rick Mikals.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I think we've talked
so
about
when
this.
I first started, it was a country radio station, and we were radio rangers. So you had to be, so you would have been Ranger Michele.
Oh, so everything had to be Ranger.
Right. And so to me, I was like, and my middle name is Frederick. So, I've always liked the name Rick. I do like that name.
So you didn't want to be Ranger Virgil.
Right. And absolutely not. That was not even a consideration. My real name is Virgil. And I really had it took me a long time to accept my name. And now I love it. I mean, I wish more people would call me Virgil. They don't. Always surprise me when they do call me Virgil, but, and it's my great grandfather's name, if you're just curious. So, but coming out of high school and being made fun of, it was like, I did not want to start my day on the radio as, oh, there's Virgil. Oh, and then they would have made fun of, I mean, it's interesting. They don't make fun of me now. They think it's pretty cool, but back then they probably would have made fun of me if, oh, there's Virgil on the radio.
Right.
And so I was Ranger Rick. So my first radio name was Ranger Rick. And we did that for about 6 months. And then the program director came to us and goes, okay, scratch that. We're not Radio Rangers anymore. And so you got to come up with a last name. And so I sat down, and remember back in the day, we did midnight to 6. We weren't doing the good shifts. You're not middays, you're not mornings, you're not afternoons.
No.
And so I had written on a piece of paper. So I had the RIK. I always had the RIK. I always had the RIK. And then I went with Rick V. So my second name was Rick V. And so V for Virgil.
Right.
Rick V. So I stopped by my dad's transmission shop.
Rick D's.
Right. Rick V. Rick V in the morning. That sounds cool, right? Rick V. Actually, that's a pretty good name, actually, right?
Yeah.
So interesting enough, I stopped by my dad's mechanic shop or his transmission shop. And he goes, what's your name on the radio? What are you saying? I said, I'm Rick V. Rick V. He goes, oh, it sounds like you're saying Rick Bean. Rick Bean. Now, there was a kid I went to high school with. His name is Scott Bean, who beat me out for the editor of the school newspaper. So I had an intense rivalry with Scott Bean. And when my dad said, oh, you're Rick Bean, I almost wanted to, that was it. So I sat down and I started trying to think of the radio name. So RIK, always had RIK, Rick V. And so I was sitting there, and so I was like Rick McAdams. I mean, I was doing a bunch of different, Rick Scott. I was doing a bunch of it. And I don't know how, but I wrote Mikals, Rick Mikals. And then I went, oh, RIKMIK. And that's where it came from. So, and then I've been almost 40 years now, Rick Mikals. And that's my air name, Rick Mikals. But it was so funny how that I looked at it, went RIK and then MIK, and it was almost like a light went off.
Right.
And you went, oh, Rick Mikals. And that works. And so many people, the good news about it is through my career is people that don't even know me in our industry, they see that name. They're like, well, I know that name. I've seen it in the trades, or I've seen it in interviews and different things like that. So the nice thing is it does stand out. I mean, there's other versions of that Mikals, but not if you do Rick Mikals, no other Rick Mikals like that shows up but me. So that's the nice thing about it. So I was branding myself, social influencing myself long before I didn't know it at the time. Yeah, I didn't know it. I just thought it was a quirky way to spell Mikals. And then, interesting enough, my son's middle name is Logan Michael, which is the Mikal. So he does have a version of my radio name in his middle name. And I have to suspect, Michele, with your name, because your first son's name is Matthew.
Yes.
So did that happen? Yeah. Yep. Is that where it's kind of, because I look at your name like, okay, that had to come from somewhere.
Yeah. So my real first name is Michele, and it is spelled with one L. Literally, my parents, that's how they spelled it. But in my grade, there were 4 Michelles. And the other 3 all had 2 L's. I mean, it sucked because, the little name license plate.
Oh, yeah. You can't find yourself.
Trinkets. You cannot find your name.
You can't find Virgil.
In the gift shop with 1 L.
Right.
And so also like you, my radio name, Michele Mathews, wasn't my first one. So when I was at Skill Center, the radio broadcasting class, we were taught that we had to come up with a radio name. And I was 15 at the time. So I thought that I was going to be Cookie. That was my radio name at the Skill Center.
So Cookie, just Cookie.
Yes.
Interesting.
And then when I got a real job at KXDD doing the overnight weekends, I had to come up with a real radio name.
Right.
You can't be called Cookie. And so
that could have been popular.
I bet it would have
been. You don't know. Yeah.
It sounds more like a stripper name than a radio DJ's name.
I didn't say it. You said it.
Hey, we were all thinking it. Let's be real. And so I was just sitting there eating some M&Ms, which I love M&Ms. And so I saw, the M and the N, and I thought, okay, well, I want my radio name initials to be M and M. And so like you, I started running through different M last names, and somehow I ended up on Mathews. And normally Mathews or Matthew is spelled with 2 T's. Right. And so to be different, just like my first name, I spell it with 1 T. And I don't know if it was like consciously that I did that to Matthew growing up. I think like the reasoning for that was so that people couldn't call him Matt, which I don't really know if that's, a good reason or not.
I guess it could. I mean, people would call him Matt. If his real name was Matthew, they'd call him Matt. Yeah.
People still called him Matt. So,
right.
I mean, it didn't eliminate that from happening, but, so yeah, that's nothing special. No big fancy story for how I came up with my name.
That was something new for me. There's been some really great ones, radio names. I had a friend named Laura, and she went by Abby Normal. And I love that. Yeah, that was my early day. I love that. Right. So, and then also here's a little behind the scene about, I've always felt about radio names. Now you're pretty unique in your radio name by the fact that you have a different last name, but a bunch of our friends. So there's Todd Lyons, there's Kurt Cartier, there's Timmy, there's all these people. One thing I learned and discovered was generally, and this is just me speaking, if you travel from town to town, those are generally the people who have the fake names. But if you are born and raised in a town, I've learned that Dave Edel, Lance Tormey, Todd Lyons, they use their real names.
Right, but they have decent names that could, be radio names.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I always wondered about that. Did they really want people to see? When I first got started, I didn't want people to know it's me.
Right.
I didn't want them to know it was me. It's almost like having a secret identity. I really wanted to be a whole, and for me, even today, Rick Mikals is a real exaggeration of who I really am in a sense, because you and I've had this discussion before. I turn it on and off when it comes to radio or being a radio personality. I turn it on and off. So for me, it's like, I'm an exaggerated version when I'm Rick Mikals. So when I'm out in the public and they meet me, it's the high energy, great to meet you. Hey buddy, how you doing? But I would not talk. I would not, if you were in a grocery store, if I was at a party, I would not be that exaggeration. And the reason why we talked about that is I feel that people have an expectation when they meet you. It's kind of like meeting their favorite celebrity. And again, I'm not saying we're celebrities, but in a sense, we're public figures in our own towns, I guess. And so it's almost like I never wanted people to have, I wanted to be the person they heard on the radio in person as well. So when you meet your favorite artist or your favorite painter or whoever is your favorite, you really want that meeting to, I guess, be special. And rather than, because you and I, we've met people and went, oh, that was, yeah.
Yes.
Like, oh, yeah, And I really believe it takes so little of us to, number one, be nice to people. And I think you've seen that in my career. I'm pretty much nice to almost everybody until you make an enemy of me. And then I'm going to gut you like a fish.
Then you're an enemy for life.
Oh, I hold a grudge. Mm-hmm. But I really believe that when people meet you, when you say, it's so funny because I don't know about Jay, but when my wife goes out in public and they're like, oh, what does your husband do for a living? Oh, well, he works in radio. the first thing they always ask is he on the radio?
Right.
That's never, does he sell advertising? Does he run the radio stations? Now, I just want you to know.
Do people even know that's a thing that haven't worked in
I know. Well, exactly. But the hilarity is
there are other jobs.
There are other jobs at the radio station, but the hilarity is the salesperson and the general manager, anybody involved with sales, makes generally way more money than the disc jockey.
Yeah.
Unless you're a morning disc jockey and you have a big contract. So, but that's the first thing I always ask, is he on the radio? And so I just have always felt that for meeting, if you meet me and they're like, oh, hi, hey, this is Rick Mikals. And then they say, oh, he's on the radio. I feel like I have an obligation to be what they expect me to be.
Right.
Do you ever feel that way? Do you ever feel that way? Do you feel like,
oh, yeah.
Do you feel like you have to be on stage a little bit?
Right. You have to be on. You have to turn it on for the people.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of us, like we've talked about before, are introverts in our real life.
That's true.
And then being on the radio allows us to have that other side to our personalities. So it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde personality is how I always explained it to people. And when you meet people like the celebrities that we've talked about that we've met, it's like, well, when you're rude to your fans, it's like, that's how you got there. Like those people being your fans is how you got there. And it's the same with our radio listeners. It's like they're listeners because they like us for whatever reason, and we need to be appreciative of that. So that's the mentality I always went into whatever we did, is like, these people love us, and we need to love them back in the same respect.
I think there's two ways to be, and my favorite way to be is I was watching a TV show, and it had William Shatner on it, and it had Henry Winkler, who was the Fonz, and they were overseas, and it was about old guys or whatever, but they were traveling the world, and people, of course, they were famous, and so anytime Henry Winkler, the Fonz, approached anybody, he was the nicest, kindest, signing autographs. So everybody loved Henry Winkler. And William Shatner even asked, he goes, your autograph's worth money. And Bill Shatner or William Shatner has a horrific reputation of if he's not working, he's not going to sign an autograph. He's not going to stop down for a selfie. He's not going to shake your hand. And you even saw this in this TV show where he literally goes, my autograph's worth money, and I just don't hand it out. And I've met William Shatner. We met him at a Comic-Con for 2.5 seconds.
You paid money, right?
But I paid money. And I love Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk's one of my favorites. But luckily, I knew that going in because I've read enough stories about him that he's not. And but on one hand, I kind of can't agree with it, because I remember one time I saw Ted Nugent, which I'm not a Ted Nugent fan right off the bat, but Ted Nugent was outside a venue and the paparazzi were giving him stuff to sign. And he goes, you got $300? And the guy goes, what do you mean? And he goes, I know you're just going to flip this on eBay. You're not a fan. So I think sadly what's happened with a lot of celebrities, and even with Comic-Cons and all these different things, is they now have to charge because people will turn and flip it on eBay. And so you have to be a true fan, I guess, if that makes sense, to get one of those autographs. So I've always felt, if you're going to meet me, not that we have that big of a fan club, but it's nice to meet our fans. And I try to treat them, with kindness and grace.
Shaylee calls us Z celebrities. We're not D-list. We're a Z-list. She calls us Z-list.
Absolutely. Trust me. I do not put on airs. I absolutely know. It used to be the D-list, but I guess we're going to be the Z-list.
We have dropped down to the bottom of the alphabet.
We're going to go. I know we're going to start talking about what your daughter said. I will say really quickly, my son one time said I was irrelevant. So he goes, radio's irrelevant, Dad. You don't matter. You don't matter. Sounds like
something she would currently say about radio.
Which leads right into your daughter, because you recently were, I don't know if my son has ever said that I was old. At least the good news, my son's never said I was old. My son, I'm very fortunate that my son thinks I'm going to live forever. Because we've talked about it. I said, hey,
that's nice of him.
Well, in his mind, he doesn't realize I'm getting older. I know I am. I know I am. But in him, and I said, hey, we got to prepare for when I pass away. He said, what do you mean, Dad? You're going to live till you're 90 some years old. I'm like, well, and I go, well, it's nice that you're an optimist, son, but I could croak tomorrow.
Right. Right. So she calls me old all the time, but she said I'm officially old because my husband and I finally broke down and decided that we needed to buy reclining furniture. So we're
Oh,
getting a
geez.
reclining love seat. And
No.
we opted for the power reclining model, which it was only a few dollars more than the manual. And so she told me that I am old and now I'm rich because all her friends' parents who have the power reclining furniture are rich. And I was like, you don't have any rich friends, first off. So, like, what are you even talking about?
That's so funny.
so, so I guess I am officially over the hill now that I have power reclining furniture. I mean, which is kind of appropriate because we are expecting our first grandchild at the end of this
I
month.
know.
Actually, it could be any day now. And then Matthew is coming home this weekend, my oldest, to go to his 10-year class reunion. So
Now,
I guess it tracks. She's right.
You can tell Shaylee when it comes to reclining furniture until you get two like recliners next to each other, like old people have. His and her recliner. See,
Right.
because you said it was a love seat, so you both can sit on it, right?
Well,
that's not old yet. That's not old yet.
We were going back and forth. Like, do we get the separate recliners or do we get the love seat? Which we currently have a regular couch and love seat, and we always sit next to each other on the love seat. So the whole point of getting the reclining love seat is that we can sit together, and you can't do that.
No, you can still make out on that. You know what I'm saying? You can still make out and have sex on it. So, but if when you get
you can in a recliner too.
The Archie and Edith bunker chairs, then you know you're old.
Mm-hmm. Right. Or the twin beds or separate bedrooms.
Oh, twin beds.
Which separate bedrooms is like a pretty popular thing now that I've
Have you guys talked? So. Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, yeah. Yeah, you definitely, you know you're old if you guys are in both separate bedrooms, basically.
I mean, luckily Jay doesn't snore, so I haven't really had that problem of
had to kick him out of there.
Right. So I've been fortunate compared to some of my friends.
You can still make Shaylee go, ew, once you say, well, Mom and Dad can still make out on the love seat. Ew.
She would just walk out of the room. She wouldn't even say ew.
She'd be gross. Gross. Yeah.
Well, okay, well, this will be a good transition into gross things.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask you if you knew what a poop, P-O-O-P, knife is.
A poop knife?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, don't tell me someone's like pooping and cutting. I mean, you know.
That's kind of what I thought too. Okay, so I went on TikTok. Right, so I went on TikTok, and I have not been on TikTok in like 6 months, and I don't even know why this lady came up in my For You page. Okay, so she takes this container that's on the back of her toilet. She takes it off the back of the toilet, and she pulls out this like sponge looking thing that's on like a stick handle, and it's like their silocilium sponge. So one has like a longer handle and one has a shorter handle, and like one is for wiping for like pee, one is for wiping for like poop, right? Okay. And she explains that they keep it in this vinegar, and that's what keeps it clean and lasts longer, blah, blah, blah. And then she pulls out this knife out. It's in like a sheath or whatever, the knife thing. And she says, and this is our poop knife. But that's all she says. She doesn't explain what a poop knife is. So I go down this rabbit hole because I thought the same thing you did.
There
like,
it
what
is.
are you doing?
Right
Cutting the poop from your behind? Like, I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's my first thought.
On? Right. So no. So a poop knife, and this is a real thing. Again, I went down this whole rabbit hole that I didn't want to go down, but it's for when you poop and there's, a lot in the toilet, and you cut it up so that it goes down the toilet better.
Isn't
that crazy?
Well, yeah, I just went and looked at it on Amazon.com.
Yes,
no,
they sell actual knives.
Not going. No.
At first, I thought it was a joke when I saw her when I saw her video come up on my
but it's gross.
I mean,
I see it. It's right there. I mean, it's gross. But come on.
Is that crazy?
Only a 12-year-old is fascinated. A 12-year-old male is fascinated with their poop, I guess. I mean,
was horrified. Because like you, I thought, why are people cutting their poop up their butt? Like, what is going on?
Why would you think? You know me. I've never, bathroom humor to me has never been. I don't know why, but it's like flatulence jokes, 12-year-old junior high. Even my wife and Kyron and Logan, they just laugh. I'm like, what's so funny about poop? I mean,
like, gross.
No, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, what? It's not that I'm above them. It's like, what is, it's like what was it back in the day? The Jersey Boys, and they would have a CD of people shitting in the shitter.
Oh gosh.
And no, but they thought that was funny. I'm like, how I explain to me how somebody crapping and you recording it is funny. Or I remember seeing when it first came on, when the internet first came alive, Two Girls in a Cup. Have you ever heard of Two Girls in a Cup?
No, I'm gonna have to Google that.
Well, two girls crapping in a cup. That's what it is. Yep.
No. I mean, I get that we all poop. I get it, but I was horrified.
And it gets billions of views. Billions of views. So yeah, poop knife. I've never heard of a poop knife.
Me either. But
Michelle's getting one because crazy. The Joneses have one, so Michelle's getting one.
Absolutely not. I was like, this is so. I mean, I might buy one as like a joke gift for somebody now, but
I'm thinking stocking stuffers for the kids.
Oh my gosh, they would be so horrified.
I think stocking stuffers next year. Mom, Dad, what the hell is this?
I could just see Shaylee's face. She'd be like, "Oh my god, we're gonna commit you right now."
I know. Yeah. Get her a poop knife. That'd be great.
Which we've had the discussion. So did you have a puke bowl or a puke pot?
What was that?
Have you heard of that? Like having a puke bowl or a puke pot when you were growing up? Did you have one of those?
I'm trying to think. We might have had a bowl, I think, if any.
So you had the puke bowl.
When you were sick, yeah.
Right. Like laying right next to your head in bed.
Yeah. If I had the flu or something like that, I think my foster mom would bring in a bowl of some sort, and that's where you would. Yeah. I mean, I've seen bedpans and crap, but I've never. I mean, but even in the 70s and 80s, to me, that was old people stuff.
Right. Which I had a puke pot growing up. And then so I passed down that to my kids. Like, when you're sick, like you said, you have a we had like whatever the biggest pot my mom had.
Wow.
And so that would be like laying next to us. And so I passed down the puke pot to my kids by using like the biggest pot we had, which was usually like my pot for like soup, or it was a Teflon pot that would easily wash out that gross puke. And so one day it would be laying next to a kid's head, and the next day I'd be making soup with it.
You can, I mean, again, you can wash it out, I guess, right? I guess you can.
Exactly. Yeah, a little hot water and Dawn dish soap, and it's as good as new. Nobody ever knew. Do you know how many times I made stuff for people and fed it to them out of that pot?
I'm sure you did. Absolutely. Kids, they don't know.
No.
They don't know. I mean, come on. There's the 5-second rule, different things like that.
Oh, yes.
Come on. No.
Which when Shaylee she was probably about 3, and she had a whole bag of Skittles, and she dropped it on the floor, and she yelled, hurry up, the 5 seconds.
Yeah.
As we're trying to scramble to pick up all her Skittles. So.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell. Yeah, if a piece of Reese's peanut butter cup drops in the ground, I'm not going to say I never didn't pick it up, wipe it off, and it's like, nope, not going to waste. Now, I never did that with poop, so there you go.
That's good. Good to know.
And I never
Me either.
I guess I'm just not weird that way, because I know there's probably people that look back at the toilet and go, I put out a big one there. I mean, I can make jokes about it, sure, but I don't recall. Yeah, I'm like.
But I'm not purposely buying a knife to cut it up.
No, that's
to
gross.
go down the toilet.
That's nasty.
I mean, if there's issues with your plumbing, maybe I could see
there might be. If you're putting out logs like that, you might want to go see the doctor.
Go to the doctor.
That's all I got to say about that.
I might want to go see your GI specialist.
You might want, yeah.
Oh, goodness. Okay, let's move on to something not disgusting that's going to gross out our audience. The people are never going to listen to us again after this. But I know that the new Superman movie is going to start. Have you bought your tickets?
I have not yet. Trying to negotiate with Megan on Superman. It's so funny is I'm trying to be conscientious of my wife rather than going to the very first showing. So back in the day, back in the day when the Marvel movies started becoming the big thing, I'd go see the movie like the first showing. If it was at noon on Thursday, I would go see the first showing, and then I would take them later, and Megan would look over at me, and because I made no facial movements of any kind, she goes, "You've already seen this." So I've tried to be a little bit better about not going immediately to the, I do want to see it.
So you can't go to the first showing is what you're saying. You have to
Well,
wait
I mean,
and go to the evening
I
showing.
thought about it, but I'm trying to be more considerate in my old age and not having to rush out. Now, here's the big, and there's two kinds of people in the world. I don't know which one you are, Michele, is I already know the plot of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm one of those
That's my
people.
next question. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Not to deviate from what you're going to say. Because I've been seeing a lot of, well, basically it was a Fox News headline that the new Superman movie was woke. And I'm like, well, isn't it just a remake of the old one? So you tell me, is this a whole new storyline, or is this like a remake of the original
Well, I mean,
Superman?
if you want to go, I mean, we can get down to brass tacks. So Superman was created in 1938 by two kids out of Cleveland, Ohio. And they, interesting enough, the very first issue of Superman, Action Comics #1, which is of course worth millions of dollars, he was a public crusader. So now he didn't have all the powers he has today, but he could jump, eighth of a mile. He had super strength, different things like that. He had the red and white, blue costume, with the S on it. And he looked more like a circus strongman in the very first appearance with a cape. And he lifted a car up over his head. But he, in the first few issues, he fought wife beaters, corrupt politicians. There was the supervillain, Lex Luthor, hadn't been created yet. So Superman is your very first true superhero. Now, there was other pulp heroes at the time. There was the Phantom, the Shadow, the Lone Ranger, but they weren't super powered. So Superman is the archetype of the very first super powered being. And so, and interesting enough, he fought injustice, and politicians was one of them that you don't think about, and corruption and city officials that are corrupt and different things like that. And Clark Kent chasing a story, things like that. So has Superman always been woke? Yeah. I mean, from 1938. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like okay, not everything is woke just because you don't agree with it. Like, I feel like that is just getting slapped on everything, regardless of whether it is or isn't. It's just because you don't agree with that particular whatever. So like whatever the storyline is in Superman, they don't agree with it. So now it's woke.
Well, I think what has changed is the tagline. They changed the tagline, which has upset a lot of people. So truth, justice, and the American way. So it got changed to truth, justice, and the human way.
Oh, and is that what they're upset about?
Yeah. But again, what makes at least what I feel about Superman, what makes Superman such a great character is he's supposed to be the best of us. We're supposed to be as kind as and that's one thing that even the reviews are saying in the movie. This Superman, even with animals, he's through the roof in terms of being kind to people.
So he's true to what Superman really was in the beginning.
Well, yeah, so it's like, so if kindness is woke, then I guess I would like to think most people are woke. I mean, but that's really what it comes down to. A lot of people think having empathy makes you woke. Now, I can tell you that for me, and I even talk about it in my book about Superman, is, I don't necessarily have a favorite superhero because I love all the superheroes, but Superman was my first. And so for me as a foster kid, being shoved from home to home, I could relate to Superman and his kindness. And no matter how bad people treat you, you should be able to turn around and just be nothing but kind to people.
Right. And so don't lose that humanity.
Yeah, because he's supposed to be that's the reason why I do love Superman. I think that he's supposed to be the best of us, and we should want to, as the human race. But again, we're 50-50. What happened in the world to where 50% of the people hate the other 50% of the people? Why are we here, and why are we not striving? It's the same thing that goes back to it's not to geek out, but it's even to go back to Star Trek. that those philosophies like, oh, Star Trek has gone woke. No, 1966, the original Star Trek, you would not have you would not have Uhura on the bridge. You would not have Sulu on the bridge. You would not have a Russian on the bridge.
Right.
And but they're showing in the future all these contingencies are working together for a common goal. And I love that. There's some great episodes of Star Trek where they talk about, well, money isn't the pursuit. Money is not our pursuit. Betterment of ourselves is the pursuit. Because in the future, apparently, they have the replicators and they can make stuff, so they can make gold. So everybody's got gold. So the cool thing about that is the message is to better yourself, and I think those messages are great. So, but that's what they call woke these days.
Being kind
is woke.
I have no interest in us going to Mars and all this money that we're spending on, SpaceX or whatever it is, all these rockets that keep blowing up. I'm like, we need that money to help current people on this planet. Like, why are we spending billions of dollars to try to go to a different planet? It makes no sense to me at all. I mean, it's a lot of money that we're spending.
I think it's sad at the end of, at the end of the day, for me, it isn't about going to Mars for the betterment of mankind, which I would love for that to be the true mission. It's how can we get gold? How can we get zinc? How can we rape
minerals?
How can we rape a planet of its natural resources? And how can I be the first to get there to make sure that I'm the richest? I always ask myself about the ultra wealthy. It's like, you have so much. So why is there such a pursuit to get more, if that makes sense? Our company, it's interesting enough, and I'll be blunt about it. Our company just announced a bunch more layoffs. Just a bunch more layoffs. And I'm like, and the problem is, it isn't the executives that are getting laid off. It's not even the middle management that are getting laid off. It's the people at the street level, the local level, are the people that are getting laid off. Why is it that they get, a gold parachute or, Teflon coating? And it fascinates me on, like, how much wealth does your next door neighbor need to be happy and to be content? Now, you and I both grew up poor, so maybe our what we need is probably different.
Outlook, right?
Is different than that. For me, I just wanted to be able to put a roof over my head. I wanted to be able to have a couple comic books in the and I wanted to be able to pay my bills. And so, luckily, thank goodness, I've had a career where I can actually do that. But I haven't gotten rich. I'm not rich by any means, and I'm one paycheck away from the street. But but I am so much further along than I was when I started. But it's never been about the procurement of, oh, I need a boat in the driveway. I need a camper. I need to, and we've talked about that. We've got friends that's what they live by, So I think it's just a state of mind. And I think that a lot of people today, sadly, Michele, if you don't agree with them, you're woke.
Right.
And interesting enough, there's a lot of stuff on the Republican platform that I do agree with.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things which I find quite interesting, I am actually on Elon Musk's side when it comes to the fact that he says, hey, you promised to cut the debt. You promised to cut the debt. And now you turn around and raise the debt ceiling by $3 trillion to satisfy the rich.
Right.
Because that's where that money goes.
My granddaughter and her kids are going to be paying for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So
trillions of dollars.
There is some common ground with Elon Musk, even though I just think he's a despicable human being. There are some common ground to where I'm like, okay, and again, I don't have a problem paying taxes. I want to make sure the taxes are going to good, worthy causes, not just, not the military machine. I mean, how many times do we need to blow the world up? I mean, how many nukes do we need? We have enough to blow the planet over 1 billion times.
Right.
So, and then to continue to generate more and more and more and more, I don't get it. And especially even when we go to get in wars with Iran or all the other stuff that we do, it really is to satisfy those contractors, the warmongers, and they get richer and richer. And
which is the same with this alligator Alcatraz or whatever that just popped up in Florida. My thought is, if you can spring up this, I call it a concentration camp, you know,
Sure.
within a week that will house these people. Why can't we build something similar for all the homeless people all across our country? I mean, if it's that easy to just pop something
Because
up,
there's no money
why
in
aren't
it.
we doing that?
Because there's no money in it. See, the interesting thing is deporting people, you know, gets votes.
Right, and it's big bucks.
So if I could, so if ICE can come in and raid some place and deport, you know, and interesting, I always joke about this. How come ICE, if they're all lazy and not working, how come ICE goes to their work?
Right, or doesn't go after the employers. Like, you cannot employ someone nowadays without knowing that they are undocumented. I'm sorry. Like, there is enough checks and balances in our system that you know now compared to, 20 years ago.
Right. And you see that a lot, I guess, even in the Yakima Valley with a lot of the fruit companies.
Yep.
They know what they're doing. But guess what's at the top of the fruit company? Very wealthy people. And it's the same thing, interesting enough, down here in Tri-Cities, Easter Day Farms, the guy ended up sadly committing suicide, but they had over like 3,000 head of cattle that didn't exist. This farm did. It didn't exist. And so they got, $20 million from the state and all these things to take care of these cattle that just didn't exist.
Dang,
they weren't real. Crazy. And so they got all these grants, they got all this money. I mean, even going back to the PPS loans, it's ridiculous on how many business owners took advantage and didn't give that money. That money specifically was supposed to go to employees and to keep them working. And they went and bought houses and boats and cars. And we're cracking down on a few of them, but we're not getting them all. And then even from the government standpoint, when you look at your representative, their loan gets excused. So we talk about student loans or whatever. Oh, hell no. Pick yourself up by the bootstrap. But meanwhile, if I work in Congress, guess what? Oh, my $200,000 loan, forgiven. So
which a PPE loan or PPP loan, whatever they were called, that's socialism too. Like,
of course
it's
it
was. A handout.
Absolutely. Well, if you give handouts to the rich, that's okay.
Right.
It is. It's perfectly fine because people are so convinced. But they're job creators.
The trickle down. That's such a
job
bullshit.
Creators. Yeah, they're job creators. So it's like I have to.
They're doing stock buybacks, and like you just said, your company's like laying off more people. They're giving it to their board members, shareholders. That's where all the money goes.
And it's all public record. So it's so funny. It's all public record. So people are like, well, how do you know what your CEO makes? We're a publicly traded company. So when he does a big stock buyback for $5 million and pays himself, I see it. It's not me. I'm not snooping into the books. It's public record. Your top 5 CEOs, their bonuses, their salaries is all. And again, all we ever hear is we got to get the stock price up. Get the stock price up. The stock price, yes. Thanks for keeping me employed. Great, but the average person does not benefit from the stock price going up.
No.
And then people are always like, it's so funny. People are like, well, buy stock. Well, you have to understand, Michele, you and I came from poverty. So I'm not, so it's not even starting from zero for us. We're coming from behind.
Yeah, right. We're negative.
Yeah, exactly.
In value or worth.
Right. And I'm not saying, that hard work absolutely counts for something. But I also know that when you're starting at, great example. You and Jay, thankfully, have done very well through the years, right?
Yes.
You just have. That's just as honest as you can be. All 4 of your kids had the opportunity to do what? Go to college. Go to college. That was never on. I mean, it's like at $600 a month in radio, that was never on the table. I mean, I guess I could have gone, I guess I could have gone crazy in debt to do it. And luckily the radio thing worked out.
Mm-hmm.
But that option for Logan is like, I offered to help. Like, hey, Logan, if you want to go to college, I'll help. But I couldn't pay today's. Well, even back then, I couldn't pay the entire tuition. I mean, it was more like, hey, you're gonna have to live at home. You have to live at home and get free food,
which is pretty reasonable.
Which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going to a community college. I'm a huge I'm a huge supporter of trade schools. If you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a carpenter, if you want to be a radio DJ, go to trade school. Yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't all have to be college. But I also think I'm in that boat to where I think the betterment of mankind is educated people. So that's why I'm a huge fan of, I think secondary education should be free. Now, and then they misunderstand that. No, you want them to go to Harvard. No. If it's Basin City Community College, that should be free. A basic college education should be free. Now, if you want to go to a private college, if you want to go, to the Ivy Leagues and all that, well, that's on your own dime. Right. But your family has that money.
I mean, yeah. Acceptance rate, if you're not legacy for Harvard, Yale, is 3%.
Right, exactly.
All the kids going are because their parents went or they donate X amount of money, a crazy
you have to be
amount
exceptional for that. And that, okay, yes. So be it. But okay, so a great example. I know that, and I love our vice president of our company. He's great, right? But his son went to Yale. His son went to Yale. He doesn't know any different. His son doesn't know any different.
Right.
Yale was always in the plan for them. But when you come from poverty like we did, Yale is not in the plan.
No.
But again, and I had a boss. It was so funny. I had a boss that used to say, "Oh, you just want to spread the money around." No, I don't. I want you to pay me, number one, what I'm worth. I shouldn't have to fight for a raise every year. It should be, Rick's done really good work. Let's give him a raise, and a cost of living raise as well. I don't care how much a CEO makes. I don't care how much a VP makes. I don't care. But your people that work for you and work hard, it should not be a begging situation. It should not be going, it should be, you work hard, here's a raise. And you should be able to feed your family, put a roof over your head, send your kids to school, or at least that schooling should be for that level, because it's a better society. It's a better society.
Yeah. I mean, Shaylee had applied to University of Irvine, California, which was her number one school. She really wanted to go to this school, but out-of-state tuition for 1 year would have been over $60,000. That's for 1 year.
Yeah. So,
and luckily she was a running start kid, which meant, she graduated with her AA when she graduated as a senior.
Amazing.
I can imagine, her going for 4 years at $60,000 a year. Like, that's crazy.
And what's the job going to be? I mean, again, what's Shelley going for?
She's going to school for genetics. So
yeah, I mean, because she's super smart. I mean, I get it. You're very blessed to have smart kids. I have not been that blessed, but
oh, stop.
My kid is on the creative side. Logan's on the my kid's on the creative side. That he's a musician, a starving musician.
Hopefully that will pay off big someday. He's gonna have that hit #1 song. Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Maybe someday. So but again, I don't begrudge your kids. I don't look at you and go, man, I wish I've been robbed. And that is that is the mentality of the anti-woke people, in terms of, you're getting something that I didn't get. I'm like, no, you're not. You are that you're making life better for people around you.
Right.
When people bought it's ridiculous. When you got a 65, 70-year-old person who bought their house at $15,000, bitching about a kid who now has to pay $2,000 for rent. That's ridiculous.
Right. Or all these millennials or Gen Zers even that are, in their 20s now, that are trying to buy a house, and you cannot find anything, depending on where you live. Even here in Yakima, you can't find anything decent,
under 40,000,
like 300,000. I mean, 300,000 is going to be trash.
For us in the Tri-Cities, it's 400,000, just period. Because Megan and I have wanted to downsize. We've looked at places, and it's like, we can't afford to move from the house we have, because we can't afford to buy a new house, because I'm not paying $3,000 a month for a mortgage. I'm just not doing it. And so
you have all these old people, you just stop buying lattes and save up some money.
And avocado toast.
There isn't enough of savings that's going to make that possible for them. Like, it just isn't.
But we're going to support, again, tax breaks for billionaires. Plain and simple. Billionaires Billionaires, man, they got it tough. They need more. They need more. They need more. And the ridiculousness of, it's so funny, the ridiculousness of that they're just going to turn around and put it back into their business is such a lie. It's such a lie. That is that. I don't care what they say. When I'll be truthful. When I get extra money, guess what I do? I stuff it into savings. Well, and and guess what? That's what rich people do too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so I remember that. Were you part of it? So in 2008, we had that huge recession, and so everybody had to take a pay cut. And so I was working at New Northwest Broadcasters, and across the board, we all had to take a 10% pay cut. Yep. And I remember the CEO coming to town and going, well, I took the pay cut too. Well, her salary was $300,000
in 2008. That's a lot.
In 2008, her pay cut of 10% is nothing compared to somebody that was making $30,000.
Right.
And she was oblivious to it. She didn't understand. She goes, she didn't understand why as workers we weren't grateful. I'm like, are you insane? Are you insane, lady? I don't understand this way of thinking. It's the insanity of it's being so far removed. I've even said this about education. It's like the people in education who make the most money is not your teachers, it's the administrators.
Right.
And when they hire people, my goodness, they hire more administration people than they do teachers. More people making 200
more teachers.
Right. Stop the insanity. You don't need more assist. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Teachers are saints, and they should be making well into $150,000, depending on where you live. Obviously, in San Francisco, that's not really going to pay the bills, and hopefully, they're making more. But I mean,
it's all relative.
And deserve to be making more than just barely hanging on. And they should not have to buy their own school supplies. That's ridiculous.
Any of that's ridiculous. And then this whole thing, like, well, I wish I had 3 months off every year. Oh my gosh! Well, number one, they only get paid for what they work.
Well, their pay is prorated out throughout the year, so that they still get paid in
the list goes on and on. It was so funny. I saw this even about. So, you have your high-paid actors. You're right. You've got your movie stars. You got your Tom Cruises. You got your Robert Downey Jr.'s.
Then you have those Z-listers.
Movie. But the average working actor doesn't. And I saw somebody put up online their royalty check from a TV show they did in the 80s, and it was a couple bucks, whatever it was. And somebody had the audacity to get on there and go, wish I got a couple bucks from a job I did 40 years ago.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, that's how they live. Like, because you already know, as being an actor, if you're not a billionaire actor, guess what? You're a working actor, and it's like you're living from paycheck to paycheck as well.
Oh, yeah.
So you need those royalties. So yeah, I'm the guy. Yeah, radio. You already know. We have no pensions. We have none of that stuff. We have no unions.
No, there's nothing.
Only in the major markets you have a union. At this level, it's like it's sink or swim, and they don't care about that. So Superman, is it woke? I guess Superman's always been woke.
That was the long way to reach that conclusion.
Well, I think there was a lot of nuggets in there, Michelle, right?
Yeah. I mean, I want to go see that new Jurassic movie? I don't even know what it's called anymore. Like the world, whatever it is. But I just read an article today that there are scientists that are going to clone this. I don't know the name of the bird, but it looks like a giant emu or ostrich, and I'm thinking, why are we doing this? Like, we have movies that show we should not be doing this. I don't care if they're fiction. Like, this could really be happening. I don't want this bird. Like, this bird's gonna make us bird food. I don't want this thing cloned.
Part of me roots for the dinosaurs sometimes because the human race can be pretty
wipe us off the planet.
I am absolutely an optimist, but I really believe the human race has done some of the cruelest, meanest things in the history of mankind. And again, we just talked about Superman. That's why I love Superman so much, is we can be better. We should want to be better. Why don't we want to be better? Why do we see the worst of us? We also see the best of us. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. We see the best of us, but wouldn't it be nice to see more of the best of us?
Oh yeah, which it blows my mind. Why we were talking about the billionaires and millions and millionaires, and back in the day, they would reinvest that money in museums or donating it or building
Yeah.
hospital wings or blah blah blah. It was reinvested back into the community in some way to help. And the millionaires and billionaires nowadays don't do that. Like, what happened that there's this disconnect with them now compared to back then? Why
They
doesn't
would try to leave a
Elon Musk want
legacy.
his right?
Yeah.
Why doesn't he want his legacy to be I built all these hospitals all across the country, and they will say Elon Musk on them for hundreds of years.
Why wouldn't you want your legacy to be I cured cancer?
Oh yes, definitely. Like, that would be huge.
If you had unlimited wealth, wouldn't you not be? I mean, that's one thing. That's why I'm a huge fan of Michael J. Fox. Growing up, I loved him. I mean, even as an actor, if you're going to put my favorite actor of all time, it's going to be Michael J. Fox. And then what he's done now that he had gotten Parkinson's, his story is unbelievable. And for me, I look at him going, that's the betterment of mankind. Mm-hmm. Same with Christopher Reeve, the original Superman, got crippled. You remember he got, and it takes, it's sad, but it takes a humbling moment in your life to realize that you can be part of something way bigger than what you are. And at the end of the day, it's not all about you. And both of them, Michael J. Fox, Christopher Reeve, people that I love, Robin Williams. I mean, all my favorites that growing up, they'll tell you that you have that epiphany, that moment in your life where you're like, I need to be better and I need to be part of something bigger and not just the pursuit of me.
When are all these millionaires and billionaires going to have this epiphany? That's what I want.
Well, you got, the good news, you've got Bill Gates who's going to give away a lot of his fortune. Right. You got Warren Buffett who's going to give away a lot of his fortune. Now, here's the scary part of it is, again, even with your nonprofits, you can break down to where all the money goes. And you'd be shocked on how many CEOs take a huge, massive portion of a particular charity. So those are the charities you don't, so those are the charities you want to do your research. If you're going to be leaving a bunch of money behind, I would do research and figure out what's going to be the best charity that speaks to you. And also make sure that CEO isn't raking in huge, because it's true. And nonprofits fight like radio stations for every dollar. I did not realize that nonprofits are competitive.
Yes, tell me about it, because I have been trying to get mine off the ground for like 5 years now, and it's tough. It's tough out there.
Yeah, well, you got to get that 501(c) and all that, and just the hoops, and then getting supporters, investors, and all of that. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, yes, it's kind of crazy that way. Mm-hmm. So, I guess the question: are you going to go see Superman?
Maybe I might go see it, or I'll just wait. Watch it
what was the last movie you saw? What was the last movie you saw in the theater?
We saw Wicked.
Oh, Wicked!
With all of the kids.
Of course. Well, I should have known that one. Gosh, how did I miss?
And that was November. I've not been back to the movie theater since November. Right.
Well, I think the movie experience has changed so much to where a lot of people just wait for streaming. So I think that to go to the movie, it really has to be something special, not just back in the day, you'd go, gosh, at least once a month or maybe every couple months. And now it's like, oh, I'll just wait for streaming. Everything you see is like, I'll wait for streaming.
Right. So it's so expensive now. And so it's not really worth, we can't really afford to go multiple times a month. And like you said, it's just easier to watch it.
Yeah, and it goes right back to, even when you think about, I've done a lot of interviews with movie theaters and we've done tours and stuff. And you're shocked to discover that even the movie theater they don't make money on the movie. They make it on the concessions.
Yeah.
Hence the reason your pop and your milk duds and all that are outrageous, because that's where they make their money. They don't make it, But how long, I guess the question is, how long before movie theaters are automated too? I think that'll be around the corner someday, to where there'll be one or two people at the theater, and because you don't see the bodies like you used to, like the workers.
Right. Or, I mean, it could be robots back behind the concession stand.
And that's the truth. I think it's gotten to the point now when you pick a seat, you just pick your seat online.
Mm-hmm. Which I love that now, I do have to say.
Yeah, no, that is a good thing. So now you know where you're going to be sitting and you don't have to worry about that. So I wouldn't be shocked someday down the road you get a ticket and it buzzes you in the door. you go find your whatever it is, and who knows what the future holds there. But
swipe your little like bracelet we're all gonna have to wear.
Right.
Isn't that what RFK wants us all to have, a bracelet by the
Oh
end
yeah,
of the year or something?
absolutely, yeah. that nut job. Yeah,
Oh goodness. Yeah, let's not talk about
no, I
him.
know, and I like the Kennedys. I don't know, I like the Kennedys. I don't like
Me
that
too.
one.
Me either.
Well,
Shaylee is a huge Kennedy nerd. Like, she probably knows everything about this family. Shaylee.
Oh yeah.
Loves the Kennedy family. She probably knows anything and everything about them, but yeah, she despises him as well.
Well, for my birthday, John F. Kennedy's, that's my birthday. Mm-hmm. So Bob Hope and John F. Kennedy. So for me, whenever I was a kid, I would always do book reports on John F. Kennedy because we share the same birth date. So that's my affinity towards John F. Kennedy, and I love Kennedy. And then a lot of people don't realize I'm a World War II buff. I love FDR, and I especially love Winston Churchill. So I'm a big fan of Winston Churchill. So a lot of people don't realize that I was a huge history buff as a kid, and so with a special focus on World War II. Yeah. Fascinating.
Math and science were not my strong suit. It was English and
not
history.
At all.
That's what I
not
love.
At all.
Yeah.
I talk for a living.
Mm-hmm.
What, 4 plus 4? What's 4 plus 4? Your kids could do it in their heads. I'm like, hang on. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll even do it at the bank. I don't care. I'm embarrassing. I'm embarrassing.
I
like I'll sit there
with my fingers too. Yes.
Oh, I do too.
But if I'm cooking and like fractions, I hate fractions.
I don't do fractions. I have no idea. Yeah.
If I'm cooking and I need, what's 1/4 the one, whatever it is, and I'll just like yell it to the kids, and they'll just like give me the answer like that right off the top of their head, and I'm going, what in the world? I don't know where you got these brains from. It was not me.
No, I was so bad at math. It was so funny. I look back at my old report cards. I didn't realize I did have a year of algebra, which I got a D in, so I barely passed. So I had straight A's, and D. Mm-hmm. So it's so funny. I think back in the day in high school. So I didn't realize. I think you had to have 3 years of math. So I had. It was funny. So I had general math, which I got a C in. Then I had pre-algebra, which I got a D+ in, and then I had algebra, which I got a D. And so that ruined I had a pretty good grade point average. Everything else was A's, like history and English and all that. Oh, I was advanced. I was AP. The hilarity is AP history, AP English, general math, dummy math. There I was, dummy math.
Yeah.
Today, and then I'm like, well, but now we got this. Greatest creation ever. I just go, what is 3/4 of ... Remember when they told you when you were a kid, oh, you won't have a calculator wherever you go?
Yes, okay. I feel so bad because Benjamin and Shaylee both we think they're dyslexic because Jay was, but we've never really had them tested. But spelling for those two, oh my gosh, we would sit at the table and I would have them write the words over and over, or we would write in the shaving cream. Yeah, I tried everything to help them so that these words would stick in their brain for their spelling test. And I remember Benjamin, he's like, why do I have to memorize these words? And I would tell him, well, you need to know how to spell. And so I feel bad now because, again, you could spell check and spell all these words on your phone.
Grammarly, you name it. It's all. Yes. We're going to be illiterate in the future. Basically, we're going to hit a button and it's just going to do everything for us.
I mean, which sometimes that
it's going to be. It's actually wait till they figure out how to hook it into your brain.
Oh gosh.
So where you just think it, and it just types for you, like take, and you just go take a letter, and it just think about that crazy future.
Let's move on because I did want to touch on the TSA. No longer do we have to remove our shoes. So I was like, thank you. It's been over 20 years, 20 years since we've had to do this. And you cannot tell me the technology has not been there to be able to tell, somebody got a bum in their shoe, that we could have stopped doing this like 15 years ago. Like, why 20 years? But I'm so thankful. It's finally happening.
I just did an article on the radio station about it, and here's what I talked about more than anything else. Number one, I talked about my foster mom who told me always to wear clean underwear and matching socks because when you go out to these things, that was one of the things I talked about. Then I talked about the fact that for me, boarding a flight, going through TSA can be one of the most stressful things there is on the planet. Because number one, it's like, so you have to take off your belt. You have to put all your change. You have to get out your wallet. You have to do all these things, and it's rapidly moving.
Right, your laptop. You can't wear your coat.
So you've got cranky a-hole peoples behind you, and so your shit is taken off without you as you're trying to get a shoe off.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah. So I'm with you on this. I'm excited that TSA number one, we don't have to smell smelly feet anymore, yes. And then number two, you don't. It's like it's just such it's like. I guess when you board a plane, it's been a long time since I've been on a plane, but it's like, God, I just want to let me get my shit out first, okay? Before it's gone.
Right.
And then the guy behind me is going, hey, can you hurry?
Which, we travel a couple times a year, and I always feel bad for it. You can tell the people who don't travel, and so they don't know a lot of the rules. You have to take your laptop out. There's certain things that have to be taken out of your bag.
So
and TSA
stupid.
Is not nice about it to these people.
No, they're not.
I feel
they're
so
not.
bad.
They act like, no. And again, they act like, and see, it comes back to the betterment of mankind, because to me, it's like, why can't you just be kind? Be nice to people. And the human experience there, because like you said, TSA, they act like you're a moron. And it's like, well, and you make a great point. I like what you said. The majority of people don't fly a lot.
Right. They don't know what the rules are. And
so when you get there and some guy's like, and then they act like you're putting them out.
Mm-hmm. Or you should know this. I mean, there are a lot of signs.
It was so funny. I used to say this about IT people back in the day. Now that, they're long gone from radio, but back in the day, you had a lot of IT people that would be like, Tim, this laptop's not working. Move. Not you. That's what they, what I'm saying? The engineer. Move.
Right.
It's like, why can't you just be nice about it? Like, not all of us are rocket scientists. Not all of us are, computer illiterate and all, all these things. But
which my son Benjamin, he works in IT, and he got so tired of me being like, Benjamin, what I do? That he has my laptop set up to where he can remote in now, because he just got so tired of me bothering. He's like, oh my God, Mom, like I showed you this over and over. No.
Well, teach him the move.
He's never done that. He's such a great.
When I talk to Benjamin, I'm letting him know. I want to say, you want to irritate your mom? You want to irritate your mom? Go move
and roll your eyes. That would be more what his sister would do.
That's right.
But yeah, he's helped my friends. Yeah, roll her eyes. He's helped my friends with their cell phones, their computers, and he'll do it for free, and then they feel so bad, but they usually buy him gift cards. But
he's
a nice kid.
Great kid. But so that's telling you.
Yep.
There you
go. The whole shoe thing. So remember when that happened? Matthew had flown down to Texas. So he had flown down. He was probably like 5 or 6. I can't remember what year that whole shoe bomber incident happened. So he flew down to Texas to stay with my sister-in-law because she lived down there at the time. And then coming back was when after it had happened, and that's when they were like, everybody has to take their shoes off. And he looked at my sister-in-law because she's like, oh, you have to take your shoes and put them up on the thing. And he goes, will I get him back?
Yeah.
He didn't know what was going on, and he was so upset. He thought he wasn't going to get his shoes back. So,
you're walking around in stocking feet and all that, and that was 2006.
Wear socks in the
2006.
Summer, so.
Even though I said 9/11 kind of started it. It was 2006 after, like you just mentioned, that bombing.
Right, that's when the shoe bomber guy whatever.
That was the one. So so now it's been 20 years since that. But little kids. Think about how traumatizing it is for little kids. You're rushing to get them, you got 4 kids. You had 4 kids. You're like trying to get all 4 shoes off.
Trying to get a stroller. And
this goes on and on. Yeah, you look like a terrorist. Oh, you could be. Like, okay. I'm just trying to, get these kids through the line. So
gotta make our flights.
It's a good, that TSA, that's a good thing. And I know PreCheck had been doing it for a while, but if you don't fly, you don't know these things.
Nope.
So,
all right. Well, I think we can end it there for podcast episode number 6.
I know it's a milestone. It's a milestone.
Yep. Since we're done talking about radio stuff, now we've moved on to regular stuff, and now you can kind of see where our thinking and
where they're like,
political leanings lie.
He's woke. I'm gone.
Yeah. I mean,
Bye-bye.
I'm sure we're going to lose them after this episode between the poop and the political
poop
stuff.
Poop knife. Exactly. There you go.
People are gone.
When you say you learn something new every day, well, I learned something new about poop knife, and everybody's going to get that in their stocking this year.
You're welcome.
That's right. Superman is going to be dropping off some poop knives for everybody.
Well, thank you for listening to Rick and that Michelle chick. Thank you for sticking it out with this episode. I stopped it.